The Simpsons is considered one of the most innovative and influential animated sitcoms of all time. And for over 30 seasons, they have repeatedly predicted future events with eerie accuracy. Join Facts First as we explore the most compelling cases of The Simpsons predicting the future. Three-eyed fish near a nuclear plant. In a 1990 episode, Bart catches a freakish three-eyed fish named Blinky near the Springfield nuclear plant, mutated from radiation exposure. This seemingly absurd plot point proved eerily prescient when fishermen from Argentina pulled a three-eyed wolffish from a reservoir in 2017. It was fed water contaminated by the nearby Cordoba nuclear power plant. While Springfield's Blinky was an exaggerated comic mutation, its real-life counterpart delivered a shock. The appearance of mutated animals near toxic nuclear waste sites is exceedingly uncommon, yet The Simpsons displayed an uncanny ability to envision this bizarre consequence years ahead of time. Siegfried and Roy tiger attacks in Vegas. In a 1993 episode, The Simpsons parodied the famous real-life Vegas magicians Siegfried and Roy with the flamboyant German duo Gunther and Ernst. During the act, one of the trained white tigers suddenly rebels against them, viciously mauling the performance. This comedic scene proved grimly real 10 years later when a 380-pound white tiger attacked Roy Horn during a live Las Vegas show in 2003, inflicting life-threatening injuries on the famous illusionist. While the real Roy miraculously survived, the violent incident closely mirrored The Simpsons' scripted tiger attack years earlier. Faulty electronic voting for Obama. In a 2008 election-themed episode, Homer enters an electronic voting booth to cast his vote for Barack Obama, only for the machine to switch his choice to a vote for rival Mitt Romney instead. This scenario foreshadowed later real-life claims that some electronic voting machines were improperly flipping selections during the pivotal 2012 presidential election between Obama and Romney. While voting machine glitches were not widespread in 2012, the issue was highlighted in news headlines when a few isolated voters like Homer complained of witnessing their intended votes being changed on screen right before their eyes. The Simpsons managed to eerily predict this exact voting machine defect. Lady Gaga's Super Bowl performance. In a 2012 episode, pop star Lady Gaga appears as herself and performs during the Super Bowl halftime show, flying over the animated crowd suspended on wires as she sings. Remarkably, Gaga did precisely that 5 years later during the 2017 Super Bowl halftime performance, strapped to cables as she dramatically soared over the Houston crowd. Other details perfectly aligned between The Simpsons' prediction and her actual show, like Gaga's athletic bodysuit costume and flashy pyrotechnics lighting up the stage. The episode even showed Gaga wowing audiences by playing the piano mid-air during her performance, another moment she essentially replicated in real life. Smartwatches. In a 1995 episode, a future version of Lisa's fiancé Hugh gives her a high-tech smartwatch as a gift, complete with wireless connectivity and video calling capabilities. This was a full 12 years before Apple released the first iPhone in 2007, which pioneered smartphones and eventually led to smartwatches. The advanced fictional watches depicted on The Simpsons featured functionality identical to products that tech companies like Apple later successfully developed. Disney acquiring Fox. In a prescient 1998 episode, an animated scene showed the iconic 20th Century Fox logo displayed with the text "A Division of Walt Disney Co." written beneath it. This seemingly absurd caption implied a massive merger between the two entertainment giants, one that wouldn't actually occur for another 19 years. But in 2017, the fictional started to become reality as Disney initiated talks to purchase most of Fox's film and TV assets for $52.4 billion, entering a bidding war with Comcast in the pursuit. Disney ultimately acquired the 21st Century Fox division in March of 2019 for $71 billion, reuniting the historic Fox Studios and creative catalog with the Walt Disney Company after over 60 years apart. Discovery of Higgs boson particle. In a 1998 episode, Homer Simpson scribbles out an inexplicably complex equation on a chalkboard. Over a decade later, a physicist analyzed the math and realized it closely resembled an advanced particle physics concept. Specifically, one part of Homer's formula closely matched the predicted mass of the Higgs boson, an elusive subatomic particle that scientists had theorized but wouldn't definitively confirm until 2012 using CERN's Large Hadron Collider. While Homer isn't known for physics brilliance, the show's writers had surreptitiously planted an equation whose figures aligned with a key scientific discovery more than 14 years in the future. Horse meat scandal in Europe. In a quick joke in a 1994 episode, Springfield Elementary's lunch lady Doris is shown casually adding large amounts of horse meat to school lunches as a cost-cutting measure. At the time, this gag seemed merely absurd, but in 2013 it became reality when European DNA testing found some beef products contained over 25% horse meat undeclared on labels. Everyday consumers and restaurants alike had unknowingly been serving the misleading ingredients for months. When the mislabeling scandal broke, millions of meat products were pulled rapidly from supermarket shelves across the UK, Ireland, and broader Europe. Autocorrect fails. In a 1994 episode, an Apple Newton personal digital assistant, owned by the bully Dolph, has a glitchy built-in autocorrect. It automatically changes the words in Dolph's typed threat against classmate Martin Prince into total nonsense gibberish. At the time, autocorrect was still a newly emerging concept, not yet available on personal consumer devices. Now, of course, we know autocorrect can be glitchy, often changing users' intended phrases into absurd and often embarrassing results. The Simpsons correctly foretold this software technology, misinterpreting users' words into meanings they never intended. Ebola Outbreak. A 1995 episode centered on a dangerous viral Osaka flu outbreak in Springfield, likely referencing a real influenza pandemic. But in hindsight, the global spread and response to the town's fictional flu better resemble the devastating 2014 Ebola epidemic that originated in West Africa. Both the show's Osaka flu and the real-life Ebola outbreak evaded containment efforts as infected travelers spread the diseases worldwide via air transit networks. Murder hornets in the U.S. A 1993 episode about a viral pandemic in Springfield also featured townspeople being attacked by, quote, killer bees accidentally released from a truck. This fictional scene bore striking similarities to real-life 2020 news reports that deadly murder hornets from Asia had been discovered in the U.S. for the first time. These highly aggressive invasive insects measure over 2 inches long and can decimate honeybee populations that pollinate crops, as scientists expressed immediate concern about their threat. While the Simpsons episode took creative license with its killer bees wreaking havoc, the storyline predicted the similarly alarming giant hornet invasion remarkably accurately 30 years prior. Legalization of marijuana in Canada. In a 2005 episode, Homer and neighbor Ned Flanders are shown taking a road trip together to Canada, where Ned is amusingly surprised to learn marijuana is fully legalized. Over a decade later, in real life, Canada passed landmark legislation in 2018 to legalize recreational marijuana use nationwide. As depicted on The Simpsons years prior, Canadians could now freely purchase and smoke cannabis products, while their American neighbors directly south still faced restrictions. Donald Trump Presidency. In the year 2000, an episode titled Bar to the Future presented a vision of the U.S. in a future where Lisa Simpson has become president. Reflecting back on the previous administration, President Lisa makes an offhanded joke about having inherited economic problems from predecessor Donald Trump. This joke became considerably less humorous when Trump announced his candidacy for the Republican nomination, ascending to the actual U.S. presidency in 2016, in what many initially considered unthinkable. Now it's time to hear from you. Which of these Simpsons predictions was the craziest? Let us know in the comments section below.